Hello and welcome to HT's weekly talk show, The Interview, and our special program, India at 75. Arif Mohammad Khan is a governor with a difference. He has an open door policy and does not hesitate to speak on controversial issues. Born in independent India, Arif Mohammad Khan breathes freedom. In our special program on India at 75, we speak to Governor Khan on the India story in this edition of HT's weekly talk show, The Interview, and our special segment, Reaching Out with HT. Welcome to the show, Mr. Khan, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
You are, if I may use the term, a product of post-independence India. What are your thoughts as you look back on 75 years of India's independence?
You know, on these matters, you develop your thoughts when you have seen two situations. I have not seen two situations.
Fortunately.
Fortunately. I have only read about it. So when I read about it, I thank my stars, I thank my people's stars, I thank my country's stars. And before thanking all these, my thought goes to those who made innumerable sacrifices to get freedom for the country. Many of them, they had not even thought that they will see independent India. And many of them really did not see independent India. But they made sacrifices for the future generations so that they can breathe in free India. So now that our freedom is already 75 years old, I think our primary duty is not only to remember them, but to remember their dreams.
And to fulfill them.
That will be the real tribute, that we work for the realization of their dreams. And if you allow, if my answer has not become big, then I would like to say finally, refer to what Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore has said. He said, India cannot attain true freedom unless it is recognized that her foundation is in mind, which with its diverse powers and confidence in those powers goes on all the time, creating Swaraj for itself. Chit Puratan Nit Nutan. India ever aging, never old. To work for that India, that should engage all our attention and energy, so that after 25 years we can say, if we are not there, our children can say that now we have realized the dreams of our freedom fighters.
As I said, you were born in free India. What are the stories you grew up on?
I have grown in a time where the fascination for things foreign was very much there. Definitely, those stories did not create any great pride in being Indian. But as we moved on, this awareness started coming, awareness about our legacy, awareness about our culture, awareness about our traditions, our values. And as you grow up and you start learning all these things, and you start feeling that what a great legacy you have inherited. In Indian context, Indian terminology, two words have been used. Vijay and Jay. Vijay is conquest where you demolish your opponent, your rival. And Jai is a word which is victory in which nobody is vanquished. And Indian culture recognizes those as great who do not vanquish anybody. If you look at the number of the people from whom we take our morals, our modes, they are not power wielders, they are thought leaders.
Taking your point, would you say that today's India has any element of that?
Of course, today I find people in my public interactions, I mostly speak about Indian culture. I mostly speak about ancient India. And the appreciative look on the faces of the people is amazing.
What do you attribute that to?
Naturally, education has played great role. The very fact that now we are a free people, that has also contributed significantly. I don't think in 60s or 70s I saw people so much interested in knowing about Indian culture than they are today.
Talking purely objectively, would you say that communalism has increased in independent India?
I think this is a very, very short-sighted view. That communalism, this country was partitioned because of communalism. We have problems. We cannot ignore those problems. But we cannot say that this problem has increased. Increasingly, people are realizing, and always remember, I will quote Rumi. He was a great Sufi poet. Tu baraye wasl kardan amdi, ne baraye fasl kardan amdi. You are sent to bring people together, not to separate them. Unity has its own terms like unity, equality, dignity of mankind. They are powerful concepts.
Let me put this differently. Would you say that for the minorities, particularly the Muslims, not much has changed in these 75 years?
I feel sad that in our public discourse, we are still using, not just journalists, political discourse, all those who participate in this discourse, terms which we have inherited from our colonial rulers. Constitution does not describe any community as minority. So whom you are referring to? But fortunately, you have mentioned Muslims. So Maulana Azad in his speech said, by no stretch of imagination, Indian Muslims can be described as a minority. Minority are those who are totally resourceless, who are totally helpless.
So I will rephrase my question and delete the word minority and ask you, has anything changed for the Muslims in these 75 years?
I think before replying to your question, I should refer to something which a great writer has written. He has said that nobody is responsible for what their forebears did. I am not responsible. You are not responsible for what your forebears did. But I am responsible for the memories which they have created.
So what is the point you're making?
This partition of India and the manner in which it was conducted had created so much hatred and so much bad blood that first responsibility was to work for the elimination of that hatred and stand up and refuse to own the theories which said that we are different.
Fast forward to the present situation, and would you say or would you agree with the perception, and I underline the word perception, that under the present circumstances, the Muslims have become or feel more insecure than ever before?
Point out any time in the history, known history of at least after the fall of the Mughal Empire, when this section, who always pose or use this instrument of victimhood, tell me any time when they said that they feel secure.
But what is the ground reality?
There are 5 obligatory things which a Muslim has to do. And the 5th one is not for everybody. It is only for people of means, who have resources. So I got the data. How many people from India go to perform Hajj? Till early 60s, the number was less than 5,000. Since last more than 20 years or 30 years, you know the number of people who travel for Hajj? It is in 2.5 lakh is the official quota. More than that go during the Ramzan month. More than that. And those who go visit round the year, the number is even larger than that.
So that substantiates my point. The more insecure you are, the more you turn to religion.
No, because I have already told you, that kind, when you turn to religion, is the other 4th, not even the other 4 things. Even zakat is for those people who have the means. It shows the number of people who command resources. You go to mosque when you feel worried, or the point which you made. These are, though they are considered the acts of worship, but they are not for everybody. They are only for those who command resources.
Okay, so they are perhaps financially secure, are improving their financial status, but what about the psychological insecurity?
When you are talking about the Islams, then one thing is certain, that Muslims, those who subscribe to this religion, they should take their morals and mores from the Islamic values. Government is not important.
This question was perhaps government specific, but more to the current scenario. And would you say over the past
I do not know what current scenario. This government has launched most of the public welfare schemes.
And yet Muslims feel insecure? And yet there is bulldozer politics?
Just a moment. I have not so far come across any complaint that public welfare schemes are being implemented in a manner where any section of the population is being left out.
Mr. Khan, you have been a minister, you are an experienced politician, and you do know that what is on paper, what is in the files, the ground reality often is different.
I think you have not heard my answer clearly. I have not come across any complaint from any people. And I am a man, I have a governor, I am only since last about 3 years. I have spent all my life. On the other hand, I have testimony of a person like Mr. Badruddin Ajmal. He said on TV, when he was asked about his poor performance of his party in Assam, he said, what can we do? Even the Muslim women did not vote for us. They were all overtaken by this gas ka cylinder, and he mentioned few more things. So how can you say that paper can claim anything, but someone will come forward physically and say that gas cylinders were given to others and it was not given to me.
In public welfare schemes, I take your point, you do not segregate and say we will give it to Hindus, we will not give it to Muslims.
Then
one part.
What else?
Psychologically, there is a community which can feel insecure under some regimes.
Okay. If I am very fair in my dealing in welfare schemes, then how do I prove my sincerity? psychologically in order to convince people psychologically?
On the ground, you have issues like hijab, you have issues like halal, shops being closed.
So hijab thing is okay for you?
Now, I'm asking you,
I to consider it totally un-Islamic.
what about targeting Muslims through bulldozer
Oh,
politics?
okay, we come to that. Uh, who are these people who have been targeted? Are they ordinary Muslims? Or they are those who had this great reputation of being strong men of the area? And they had built empires. These are the people, they represent the Muslims. Action against them, you find any is objectionable? Who introduced the Hafta system in Ahmedabad, in Baroda, in Surat? Who is not aware that this was going on in UP? And who does not know that most of when you talk about bulldozer, they were behaving like bulldozer. So if they behave like bulldozer, possibly bulldozer is the reply to their activities.
On a positive note, how would you sum up India's success story?
Today, a normal Indian, ordinary Indian, sees sky as the limit. And the Indians, to boost this situation, the Indians in developed countries, their achievements are so great that the world has become convinced of the power of Indian mind. That has also boosted the morale of Indians at home. And the world is seeing our potential.
What would you see as India's greatest failure?
Greatest failure? Honestly, I feel not only as a failure, but I feel greatly worried about it. Swami Vivekananda said, so long as millions live in ignorance and poverty, I hold every person who has received education at their expense a traitor if he or she heeds not for them.
And what does Arif Mohammad Khan say?
I say that our priority must be education, education, education.
Last word on 75 years of freedom.
I think we have done enough rejoicing. We have expressed enough pride. Now, I am in total agreement with the Prime Minister that next 25 years, and that does not mean that the work will stop there, but with greater attention, greater consciousness, greater awareness, we must devote ourselves to the service of the last man. The dream is last man must be made to stand up. तू ही नादां चंद कलियों पर कनात कर गया वरना गुलशन में इलाजे तंगिए दामा भी. You yourself have a very limited view. You become satisfied with the small things. This country of ours is full of resources which can overwhelm you.
Mr. Arif Mohammad Khan, thank you for being here with us and thank you for your time.